Meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center on this Tuesday morning, giving you the latest information right now. A severe thunderstorm warning in play until about 6 a.m. for portions of Alachua County. Watching some wind here showing up on our Doppler algorithms. So I just wanted to give you guys the latest. I know they're talking here in the chat, Seth and Ben Nelson, that strengthening has been indicated in the velocities there between U.S. Highway 27 and I-75 to the southwest of Gainesville and east of Archer. And although most of the convection has been elevated so far, elevated here. Downburst winds around 60 miles an hour cannot be ruled out as this is strengthening convection that's going to be crossing here over I-75 pretty much here over just the next little bit. So looking at some of our velocities, you can kind of see that here really starting to just maybe crossed over there real quick. Some of the worst of this in that last scan or two, but you can kind of see here some brighter colors, maybe winds close to about 60 miles an hour showing up here as we're getting a little bit further south in Gainesville, but and Alachua County, but you can see Alachua County as a whole under the severe thunderstorm warning until 6 a.m. The information from the Weather Service in the statement was that the severe thunderstorm accident wasn't too far from the University of Florida, but really we're talking about the core of it, 8 miles southwest of Gainesville, moving northeast to about 25 miles an hour. So Gainesville, University of Florida, Micanopy, some of the locations included in this warning. So watching the situation very carefully here this morning. I'm going to go ahead and zoom out. I know we've had quite a bit of rain in Gilchrist County, even some weak rotation. I was watching earlier over there, and they did just issue an aerial flood warning there until about 7:30 for that area. Not a flash flood warning, but an aerial flood warning because quite a bit of precipitation has fallen in that area here. So just something to kind of touch on as we're watching things across the region. I'm going to go ahead and go to our other computer source right now and see you guys what's going on here. We'll kind of give you guys an idea that in the last hour, some of these purples indicate about 2 inches of rain, even in parts of Alachua County, but then some of those reds in Gilchrist County closer to 3-inch totals. So quite a bit of rain here, a stormy start, maybe waking you guys up there this morning down toward Gainesville, down toward Trenton. In the Trenton area, I know you have that heavy rain. That's been an issue. Gainesville area getting the heavy rain as well, the pond and the water on the roadways. But then also now a severe thunderstorm warning because of some wind enhancement here that we're seeing within the Dopplers. They're saying here that waves of downpours trending from the northeast Gulf of Mexico across the Suwannee River into Gilchrist County have likely produced up to 3.5 inches of rain during the past 90 minutes. And additional rainfall amounts here, 2 to 3 inches during the next few hours, will likely produce flooding there, especially along the U.S. Highway 129 corridor from Bell southward to Trenton. So just want to let you guys know about what's going on here this morning. Again, the main reason we're on, the reason that we are on here, coming on to this different streams right now, is the severe thunderstorm warning. Another early start here in the Weather Center. 6 a.m. is the expiration as we look at our velocity, even a little bit of weak rotation, but more right now it seems about the straight line wind potential here just east of US 441 here in parts of Alachua County. So again, that's kind of what we're dealing with right now. A severe thunderstorm warning. You see gusts only about 20 at the Gainesville Regional Airport here. But again, this wind right here could be getting down to the surface and causing some damage. As we're looking here to the southeast of Arredondo, that's a pretty rural area, thankfully. There's a chance here, based on the Doppler, there's that chance that this could be spread out a little bit more than that 1 pixel area, though. So we got to keep that in mind. With all this heavy rain, that wind could be getting pushed to the surface a little bit more in a widespread manner. So again, trying to do the best we can here this morning. It's been a busy stretch here in the Weather Center, I guess. This would now make 9 straight days of severe weather coverage here to keep you guys safe and informed. So we're just trying to give you guys the latest here on this very early Tuesday morning. Again, severe weather around Gainesville right now and the University of Florida potentially, though the worst seems to be just a little bit further down toward the south. But you just never know here because we're kind of just placed on the radar a bit as we're further up away from the Jacksonville site. Which makes it a little bit hard to see exactly what's happening at ground level. So just wanted to give you guys the very latest. Again, a severe thunderstorm warning until 6 a.m. for areas of Alachua County here in north central Florida. So let me go ahead and give you guys the latest here in terms of some of the power outages. Looking at some of our power outage numbers right now. Areas of Lafayette County, about 102 customers in the dark. Alachua County, only 32 so far, so that's a positive trend. Early on, but it's still maybe a little too early to discern what numbers we could see later on. 54 in Gilchrist, that's pretty good, but some of those areas there may not be trapped because of the more rural nature there of Gilchrist County. So again, watching things carefully. I know Stark, we've had some heavy rain, a little bit of gusty wind accident here this morning. Nothing overwhelming, though, but we'll keep watching things up here. But this storm right here to the south, the worst of this over the next little bit, if this core kind of holds together and looks like it's maybe weakening a bit. As I say that, it says hexagonal rotation, though, so that's kind of interesting. But we're just so high up on the radar, it makes things kind of tricky. But tracking whatever this really is toward Rochelle, Campville, and Putnam Hall maybe later on, depending on how it kind of holds together here. I know our parameters, looking at them here, they haven't been really impressive, but they've been there lingering around just enough to give us some cause for concern here. So again, looking at our Doppler radar right now, rotation tracker, so a little bit of that here, close to 75, probably just passing it again at this point, as we were alluding to. The energy value is kind of cut off from 600 joules per kilogram to about 400 joules per kilogram, just off toward the east here. So again, I'm just kind of giving you guys that idea on that storyline there, to kind of just to give you that heads up. Even probably not too much hail in here. I know that storm actually in Gilchrist County, just based on my evaluation of it, I know we're in a situation where we're having to look way high up, using some of the different radars here of Tampa, Moody, and also over there toward Jacksonville, of course. It seemed like it was maybe a little bit stronger, maybe some rotation there and a lighting increase in that area. So something to kind of just hope that we didn't have any damage from there. I haven't, again, seen too many power outages over there, so hopefully that was just a little bit more bark than bite. But again, looking toward areas there in toward Dixie County, looking toward Dixie County, there's a significant weather advisory and about 6:15 for coastal Dixie and inland Dixie. So let me see if that's for the stuff coming ashore there. It may be for that stuff coming ashore there here on this Tuesday morning, on this June 20th, 2023. So let's go ahead and show you guys what's going on here. We'll go ahead and switch to our other mode. You see the warning to the east there. Let me take off the information about it for right now, though, so we can kind of clean this up for you guys there at home. I know generally haven't had as many warnings over here, so we really wanted to jump in since Gainesville was included here under this warning. Again, they expired at 6 a.m. at this point, it would look like. But we could always see an extension to that, so we're monitoring that situation here from the Weather Center. Looking back toward the west, we're going to probably see some more advisory information pop up out here. But as we wait for that, let's go ahead and put up our covered map just to remind you guys that we're in Bradford County, but that area there where the warning is in Alachua, and for what it's worth, it just got a gust, maybe indicating that wind spread out a little bit more here. A gust to 44 now at the regional airport in Gainesville. So Gainesville Airport, a gust to 44, hadn't shown up on our map yet, but the Weather Service just giving us that information here in the chat session. Ben Nelson. Over toward areas there around Gilchrist County, though. A lot of lightning showing up. You can see that gust there. Our system sometimes runs it down a little, but with the notch conversion. But you kind of get the idea. Gust in the 40s there in that area. But then this one back toward Trenton, looking like it's a little bit strong here too. But this one right here is actually rotating to a degree. But we're so high up on here on the radar. We don't have a radar that close. We're going to use all the way the view from Jacksonville, so that makes it tough here this morning to figure out exactly what's going on. You kind of have to rely on the power outage numbers popping up and the wind reports here, maybe wind damage reports in other realms here, and with just maybe the information about trees falling, and then of course the anemometer data here. That data is key. So again, I'm just trying to give you guys the latest. I'll go ahead and zoom back out just a little bit here. Trying to show you guys the Doppler technology over toward Trenton as well. You can see a little bit of lighting over there, but toward Gainesville and Alachua County, severe thunderstorm morning, a rare 5:30 to 6 a.m. morning here for the Gainesville area in June, or really any time of year, but especially in June. You don't see this very often. But just following this right now, I give you the latest to protect you, your friends, and your family, making sure we don't get any spin-up risk here in this as well. We don't want to get a spin-up tornado on our hands always, so that would be problematic in the this area. We don't see that necessarily at this moment, but there's no tornado possible tag So that's good news. But we'll keep monitoring the situation here for you guys at home. Again, severe thunderstorm warning till 6 a.m. I know we've been popping on a lot here lately. Hopefully this trend of having to come on a lot will end here pretty soon in terms of the nastier weather starting to subside, at least going back to its normal form here. And summer never really had our normal form here so far. Either nothing or just an explosion of it for over the last week or so now, which is just remarkable here and not in a good way. So again, just watching things here around Gainesville. It seems like, again, down here will be the strongest wind, maybe just not far from Micanopy, maybe just to the north. But again, the airport got a gust pretty high. I mean, they're just outside the warning now, and they've been outside the warning, but goes to show that this wind might be spreading out and maybe knocking a few tree limbs down, maybe causing a few power outages here or there. So I'm going to check our Gainesville Regional Utility electric map here at this point. I wanted to see, because I know we've got the other power outage information, but I want to go ahead and check our Gainesville Regional Utility numbers here, because that could be kind of helpful to the viewer at home to figure out what neighborhood you might be seeing power outages in. So let me go ahead and check on over here our details on these. I'll get that up here in just a second. As we follow the situation here with you guys this morning. So again, severe thunderstorm warning for another 14 minutes for parts of Gainesville and Alachua County. So I know there's many different neighborhoods within Alachua County, city of Gainesville. So got to keep that in mind here too. And so far, the GRU map here is not showing any customers in the dark, which is kind of surprising with all the lightning around. You think there'd at least be a few. Hopefully that's accurate data that we're getting in right now, and that would be really good news if that stays the case. But I know toward the south, maybe there may be a few customers there in the dark on some different utility systems. I hear some of that rumbles of thunder here around Stark right now. But Alachua County 125 listed is out. Again, GR, you're not suing anybody. We have 17 on FP&L and 105 on Clear Electric. Duke Energy has 1. And then also the Central Florida Electric Cooperative there. They cover a little less people. They have 2 there in the dark from them. So not many outages right now, which would mean maybe this wind is staying elevated here in terms of the severe limit aspect of things. So we'll watch that. Let's go back to the west, because we do have this action coming toward the coast here. We're looking way high up on this, but significant advisory toward parts of Dixie County here. That significant advisory going into about 6:15. We're just going to keep watching everything out there to make sure nothing becomes a little more significant. But back toward the east here, watching some of the storminess in Alachua County. I mean, even in Bradford County to some degree. We have the advisory that's covering a broad area. Another one of those issued until about 6:30 for gusts up to 40 in this broad area here across north central Florida, clipping some other portions of the region too. But I'm really focused on north central Florida here at this point. And then also may want to pop up some of those cameras here, as we have some cameras available. I know when we came on there, like that wind was already starting to cross the interstate. Maybe we can catch some lightning here. We have a good view. It might be kind of interesting to see you guys at home. I know, rough start for that morning commute. Even if this area kind of gets out of the way, there's still more accident building in. So it's going to be wet on the road. Probably some accidents out here as you start that Tuesday. So use extra caution on the roads here. Let me go ahead and go. This is going to be up there a little bit further up, but it's going to be at 75 at State Road 24/Archer there. Archer Road 383.8 there is the mile marker number. There's just got another aerial flood advisory coming out now for portions of Alachua and Gilchrist until 7:45. So let me go ahead and jump on though over to our traffic shot of things now. You can see it's a little bit wet out there for sure on the roads, and that can be problematic. I mean, you don't see much wind or much of a downpour on this side in this moment, but really this just goes to say that the roads are slick out there, and there's some downpours that have happened now that are turning into a situation where we have those puddles. So gotta just keep that in mind here. That's outside of the wind and constant type of accident that you can get into here at points. So, again, you see some flashes of lightning in the distance. So trying to give you guys the very latest here. Again, this Florida 5-on-1 perspective right now. you can kind of see what's going on here in Alachua County. So again, it's a thunderstorm warning for another 10 minutes or so. As we're looking over there, you can see the traffic getting by. You're pretty good at this point, but still kind of nasty, obviously. So we'll sort of keep checking that view here as needed. But let's go ahead and just go back to the Doppler, examine some more things here across the region. You can see the broad wind up to the north, even in Bradford County, maybe winds there. Could be just a little over 40 miles an hour as this rain just keeps piling in. And flood advisories there have been expanded here. It looks like eastward to cover a large portion of Alachua County, where 1.5 to 2.5 inches of rainfall has occurred there during the past hour. An additional 2 to 3 inch totals could require a flood warning during the next few hours. Hopefully, we don't get that risen there to a flash flood warning. That'd be something we have to post about here and be a little more concerned with because of a more rapid rise in flood warnings, a little bit more of a situation where it's not quite as quick but still dangerous, obviously, as we got confirmation now that the gust was all at a 45 there at its peak, that type of situation. So actually, it sounds like we had multiple gusts then at Gainesville Airport. So a gust there at a 44 at 5:36 and a gust of 45 at 5:44. So just kind of giving you guys an idea as for tracking things. I know a lot of different numbers here, considering we've been on for so long over the last several days, over the last week. But again, a gust of 44 at 5:36 and a gust of 45 at 5:44. So they're going to go ahead and expire the warning now. This is a thunderstorm warning. That's some good news. That's good news for everybody down there. Not as much light in that area either, which is sometimes a sign, not an actual requirement for a warning, but a sign that things aren't quite as nasty. But a good thing for you guys, even if you have all this rain piling in, some flooding threats here. A good thing for my voice here too, which I don't know how much more I could take of this here as we're watching things with this type of threat. But again, you can see moving in around Newberry, maybe some wind enhancement. We'll watch that, of course, on the Doppler. We'll keep trying to look at some of the power-added numbers around Gainesville in our area to see if those go up a little bit. Looking towards south areas of Palatka, you can see a little bit of wind enhancement there, but a lot of this stuff seemingly in terms of the worst of the winds, maybe not getting down to the surface then based on that information out of Alachua County. I know with the power added numbers so far, those should update pretty quickly on us from the direct source. So that's a good sign early on, but got to keep watching, got to keep tracking. We watch Dixie County here as well. Make sure nothing gets more dangerous over there. But the heavy rainfall for that morning commute is probably going to be the biggest story. I know that's going to be an issue. North Carolina today, some flood threats setting up. As we look up there, I mean, western North Carolina, starting to see some more of those coming into play here. But let's go ahead and show you guys our rainfall. This is going to be your 1 hour estimates here. And again, focusing from areas here of Dixie County. Some of these purples, 1.5 inches plus totals in an hour. Some, I mean, even in some of these darker purples over 2, which does include part of Gainesville here in Alachua County. In terms of that overall threat. So, of course, Gainesville threat spreads out here quite a bit. So, that's kind of storyline there. And then you have your 12-hour total, which aren't going to add up for the next hour yet. We had already quite a bit in Gilchrist, maybe closer to 5 inches there, and then adding some more on top of that. So that starts to cause even more concern, even though that's not in a major metro. But Gainesville here to the east, obviously, is a major metro. And more rain like that could start to cause some issues where we could start to think about flash flooding, which would be a little more dangerous, obviously, than flood advisory type of scenarios, or just a flood warning, which still is pretty dangerous, but not as quick of a rise of water. So, Alachua County, 128 customers in the dark right now. Again, it looks like DRU still not reporting any, which is some good news. I'll check one more time on direct source. Still no active events there, which is good. That would be a good sign. So, I think we're going to wrap it up for now then. We'll go ahead and broaden the view out here. Again, the warning technically still goes to 6 for Alachua, even though it's already off the board because they expired it out there. Talking about threat weakening on down. I'll read you guys the statement that is sent out here from the Weather Service. Again, saying the storm was prompted, the warning has weakened below severe limits and no longer poses an immediate threat to life or property. Therefore, the warning will be allowed to expire. However, gusty winds up to 40 miles an hour are still possible with this thunderstorm. So that's kind of the storyline there. Gusty winds, not severe at this point, but it's looking like with this kind of coming on in, maybe kind of stabilizing things a bit, but still going to have that heavy rain piling up, and that could lead to more flooding. So it's going to be a rough commute here across our area this morning in spots. So you just got to bear that in mind. I mean, nasty, nasty weather if you're headed out right now. If you're traveling from Start to Gainesville, or Trenton to Gainesville, at this point in time, it's a rough go. Hopefully things will improve, but more of this accent coming off the Gulf here could lead to more inches of rain toward areas there around Trenton and Gainesville here over the next little bit. In fact, let me go ahead and put a loop together real quick. I'll go ahead and kind of do that. We'll switch to this source, and I'll go ahead and get that loop just so you can kind of see the motion of this all, because sometimes it's better for you guys at home to see the motion of all this here in play versus just kind of that still image of things. So, or just with some different arrows that pop up from time to time. So, I'm getting that up there. You're actually going to see the marginal 1 out of 5 risk we have in play as we're looking ahead toward today. So, a lower risk today as we're getting toward those daytime hours and just that overall 24-hour period from 8 a.m. to 8 a.m. on that Wednesday. So, just something to kind of bear in mind here in the Weather Center as we continue to give you guys the latest updates. So again, I know here's some of that rain on the roof where I am in Bradford County right now, around Stark. We're not getting the excessive rain up here. We're just getting good rains, and probably some ways you could really use those rains here. But not necessarily at this point in Gainesville, because you're starting to get just too much here in too short a period of a time. Same for Trenton, but there's in Gilchrist County as well. So let's see what we might have here in terms of our Doppler technology. That loop is almost rendered, it looks like now. So we'll go ahead and switch over to that here soon. I think we have that ready now on our other source. So we'll go ahead and try to switch on over to that. You kind of get an idea of what's going on here. You can kind of see how the rain's been translating, the storming has been translating across the area here. And the system, and this is going back to the last few hours, you can see how it's coming around Dixie and Gilchrist, and then still coming from those areas here. I mean, it's moved a little in terms of that progression from areas further back in the Gulf, but it's still coming out of the Gulf here. So that could be an issue here as we're looking toward. It looks like there's around Cross City, there's around Trenton, Bell, over again toward Gainesville there, obviously, in those areas around Alachua County. We'll continue to track things here for you. If we need to come back on, we will. We hope we don't have to here this morning, but it's definitely not something with the pattern we've been in lately that we could rule out. So for now, meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center. Stay tuned. Stay safe. Let me see if there's any questions real quick before I end it here from our viewers. I don't see anything. But just again, thanks so much for tuning in. Trust to me. Let me leave you guys with that last frame on that Doppler radar view. Try to make it a good and start to the morning as our power flickers here east of Stark, actually. And just stay safe on those area roads.